Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today is going to be an anime review on Zankyou no Terror. Now, I don't know if I was the only one last week, but most likely I'm not, that did not know that Zankyou no Terror was going to be on break. For instance, Thursday came around last week, and all of a sudden I found out it was not going to air, and I'm like, what the fuck, where's my Zankyou no Terror? And then along with Borrow Come On, I didn't know it was going to air either, so I'm like... Yeah, so, I mean, it was really upsetting because I was missing this series last week, and I'm like, where is my psychological freaking crazy series? Because it didn't come out last week. So anyways, I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad it's finally back, and it's kicking things up into high gear. Now, this episode had a lot of dark and underlying meaning of it. Seriously, there's a lot of dark meaning in this episode. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down, my fair lady. No, I cut for that song a little bit, but My Fair Lady. The title of this episode is called My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady would be reference to Lisa. Now, here is the thing. Lisa, as I have stated, and a bunch of you Chibis have stated in the comments, have said that she is either going to be the downfall, or she is going to be the person that saves 9 and 12. Now, with this, Lisa's usefulness is being questioned to the overall entirety of 9 and 12's plan. Personally, Lisa as a character, she has really caused a lot of hindrance to 9 and 12 as a whole. I'm just going to be honest here. I want to discuss Lisa first before I talk about this episode, okay? Lisa as a character, I understand her viewpoint. I've discussed this already. I understand her viewpoint. I understand the way she acts. I feel sorry about what's happening in her life. We don't know the full viewpoint, but I understand so far from what's going on. But Lisa as a character in this series is holding back 9 and 12. Seriously. She is like a damsel in distress. That's exactly what she is. Like last episode, she needed to be saved, and this episode, she needs to be saved also, because, I mean, she's captured by 5, and you have, 12 going to go save her, and obviously, it's a trap. It's an obvious trap. Obvious trap is obvious. But, I mean, the thing is she, as a character, I know she has to have importance. I mean, the writer of the series knows what he's doing, because, I mean, the series is really good. It's on a very smart and intelligent scale, but... what is the importance of Lisa? That is the big question I have to ask. If it's my standpoint of this series, what importance is Lisa to the series? Like I said, the only thing I see from Lisa at this moment is either a hindrance to 9 and 12, the biggest downfall to them, or going to be their savior. That's it. Anybody else have any ideas? If you do have any ideas to what she could possibly be to the series, let me know in the comments below. But anyways, besides the factor of Lisa, I want to get into the fact of different things that happen in this episode. For instance, we find out how 5, 9, and 12, and so forth, other numbers, probably 8, 9, 6, whatever, how their numbers came about, and how they were, like, where they were at, where, like, how they got their smarts and where they came from. We found out the origins of 9 and 12 and 5. For instance, in this episode, it is uncovered that there's this plan called the Athena Plan, and pretty much this plan is directly linked to mythology, just like, how Sphinx is linked to it, different stuff like that. And so, I like how they try to add in more mythology with the background and origin of 9 and 12 and 5, and it makes a lot more sense now that they use mythology with their riddles and their games to use bombs, because, I mean, they were born from, I guess, a mythological origin, since, Athena Plan, and, Athena, Shibazaki, went into the entire origin of Athena and different stuff like that, and, she's the goddess of wisdom. But the big thing is finding out the origin of different things, of these different companies that were messing with these children, really shocked me. Now, the big thing that this episode as a whole tries to show us as a watcher is how big this plan was and how, like, top secret or classified it was. We see all these organizations and companies, big companies like pharmaceutical companies. When you see neurologists, we see, let's see, big doctors, corporations. We see the Department of Welfare. We see all sorts of stuff going on in this episode. For instance, all these companies that are trying to make the Athena project possible. They were trying to make it possible, and they were funding it. Clearly, in this episode, that was uncovered by Shibazaki and his crew. So, it's obvious that the Athena Plan happened. It's obvious. The entire logic of why, the entire logic and the way it was brought up pretty much just points at 9, 12, and 5 and their origin. So, what was the main goal of that project? from what we can understand from the details besides the specific companies, from the details we can get in the details what the company's names were, it looks like they were trying to do mind control or experimentation, which is kind of obvious. They were trying to gather up orphans from around the entire country, orphans up that passed these certain specific tests. When they passed this test, they took them away and did not tell the orphanage where they took them. And so, I'm guessing this is how they found, 1 through 12. I don't know how many numbers it goes up to. And they had to be probably at a certain intelligence scale or had certain ideologies. They had to have certain viewpoints on the world or something like that. And so, what it shows you is they most likely took these kids at a young age, these very intelligent kids, and they're trying to brainwash them, mind control them, or something, and insert them into political environments. For instance, like, insert them as a politician, or Five, for instance, is a spy. We find out Five is actually a spy for the USA, and so they're putting these specific people, like these children, they grew up like 9 and 12, in these powerful positions, most likely because they can keep, them controlled under wraps like a dog, since, they were mind controlled, as I'm guessing. Now, the episode, for the most part, has a lot more setup and tension building. You really have to be paying attention to all the specific details of this episode to really understand the entirety of the concept of this episode. Like the beginning of the episode, the song. Like right after the opening song, we have another song with Lisa laying on the couch. Now, I'm just going to be straight out honest here. I don't know what that scene specifically meant, and I know for a fact it had an underlying meaning. That entire singing section had an underlying meaning to the story. I think the bright picture of this episode, but I really couldn't understand exactly, what the meaning of the song was. But clearly, Lisa is going to be valuable in the future or something, because this episode was entirely focused on her. It was. And so, what is going to happen? Will we see a death of Lisa? Will 12 die? And another question that's brought up in this episode, Shibazaki actually asked, saying, like, can an amateur make a plutonium nuclear bomb? Now, in Fury, I'm guessing it's correct. Shibazaki finds out in Fury it can be done, but you'll be exposed to radiation. And so, we know for a fact 9 and 12 are not amateurs. They're technically very intelligent, they're smart. I mean, they've done some crazy shit. They have. So, they're definitely not amateurs. So, they can definitely, make a plutonium bomb. But the big thing is what is their plan? As I have said since the very beginning, all terrorists or forms of active terrorists, like terrorism and stuff like that, have a motive. Criminals have a motive. So what is the motive of 9 and 12? That is the big thing we still have yet to uncover. We are finding out these specific little details as the series progresses on about, the Athena Plan. We're finding out, how, 5, and 9, and 12 have some form of history between each other and have a lot of, jealousy or a rivalry between each other. We're seeing all these details just coming in slowly, okay? And they're still not revealing the main goal of the characters. That's the big thing, because obviously, if I had to judge in my viewpoint from this type of series, I want to say they're trying to hunt down the politicians and the, I'm guessing the pharmaceuticals and different companies that probably took them out of the orphanage and brainwashed them or did something to, their fellow children or their fellow friends when they were being tested. So, overall, good episode, a very good episode. I like the setup of it. It's a very, I guess, dark episode. It depends on your viewpoint of the episode. It really does. It depends on your viewpoint and how you look at this episode. If you look at it for a very good meaning, you'll definitely find something. There's a lot of meaning in this episode, and the music placement of the episode, I think, was properly executed. They did a good job with the execution of the music, and it definitely helped out the overall theme. So, tell me your thoughts about this episode, everybody. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments about it? I love all of you so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.